Reactor online. Sensors online. Weapons online. All systems nominal.
Hello everyone, Carrie here with Unicorn Company, and today we are taking a look at the battlefield objectives. Now, this is well, it says it's a force pack, or it counts as a force pack, I guess you could say, but at the same time, it really isn't. I don't know how to explain it. It's not something that you would normally see on the tabletop or on a battlefield as a combat unit. It's more of something that you're going to see as, well, exactly what it is. It's support elements. It's a mobile headquarters, a MASH unit, and a long tom with an artillery trailer. While these aren't units that you're normally going to see on the tabletop as far as stuff that's actually being used for combat, you will see these as objectives a lot of times. And that's essentially what these are as far as what Catalyst has put out. Now, unlike the rest of the Battlefield support packs, you don't get two of each. You get one mobile headquarters, one MASH unit, one long tom, and one support carriage for that long tom. So let's go ahead and take a look at each of these miniatures. The first one that I want to talk about is probably the most basic of the three, and that is going to be your mobile headquarters. Now, the mobile headquarters does come on a hex base. I have removed it because I want to put it on something more objective-like for Alpha Strike, so it's not, I don't know how to put it. So it's not as much of something that is there to be attacked as it is something that's there to be captured. What Catalyst has done here is they have taken that concept, the original mobile headquarters concept, and they've really played with it a little bit and made it look pretty awesome. If you're familiar with the original art for the mobile headquarters, it essentially looks like a bus that's been up armored, given command stuff on it, and sent into the battlefield. Or maybe not a bus, but like a deuce and a half that's had an extension at it. And what this does, it actually takes that concept and plays with it and makes it look even better. Part of what they've done here is they've given it rotating joints in the body. Well, they don't rotate, but you can tell that they're supposed to be rotating joints in the body, which would allow it to turn tighter in places like cities and urban areas. Also, they've done a lot on the just the way that's detailed. It looks, well, it looks spectacular. I'm not going to lie. And mind you, this is just an objective piece. This isn't anything that's like made for actually using in the game. Well, I mean, I guess you could, but I don't look at it as something like that. I look at it as more of, something to capture control. What's interesting about this model is it does have a turret and it also has a satellite dish. Both of these turn, and they turn quite freely too. They don't pop out like I had the problem. I think it was the J. Edgar where the turret wanted to pop out. I don't have that problem at all, but it is, I guess you could say, posable in that regard. So that's kind of a cool little feature on this. Now, looking at the model itself, first of all, since I have it off of the hex base, it has a fully detailed bottom, which I really didn't expect. They have gone and detailed the entire, every surface on this has details, and it's not like they've scrimped anywhere. They have done amazing on this. As far as mold lines or anything, I'm really not seeing any on the entire model. There is what looks like possibly a clip point towards the rear, but it's barely visible. They've done an amazing job on this. I will say it does look like the cab and the two rear sections are independent of each other, so you may be able to get this apart. I'm not sure though, and I don't want to make any bets on that. I don't think they're actually rotatable if you were to break them off. They're probably just flat molded to be able to fit where they go. So overall, this model itself, I would give basically about like a 9.5 out of 10, maybe a 9 out of 10. It has some awkwardness to it in the sizing of the satellite dish. There's nothing that you can see on this model that's really stand out like, oh my goodness, that needs to be fixed. So that's pretty much me going, being a very nerdy person about the mobile headquarters. Let's go ahead and look at the Alpha Strike cards for it, even though you're probably not going to use them. Now, funnily enough, even though you only get one vehicle, you get two double-sided Alpha Strike cards for it. And what they have here is, first of all, they have, or actually, no, I take that back. I grabbed the MASH and the mobile headquarters. All right, so you get one double-sided Alpha Strike card. My mistake, I do apologize. The first side, you have mobile headquarters. It's 21 points. It's a combat vehicle, size 1, target movement modifier of 2, 12 inches wheeled, no roll, because it's mainly there to get caught or blown up, or a combination of the two. It has armor of 3, structure of 2, with cargo transport 1, energy, mech headquarters 7, recon search, and turret 110. So, ironically, it does actually have a tiny microscopic bit of bite. The other side that we have here is the Browning Mobile Headquarters. It is 18 points, available in every era, just like the mobile headquarters itself. It's a combat vehicle, size 1, TMM3, movement of 14 tracked. It's a scout, has no attack values, armor of 2, structure of 2, with anti-missile system, case, which is weird, ECM, Mech Headquarter 4, Searchlight, and Turret AMS. So it has 360 AMS, which cool. But overall, yeah, like I said, these are objectives. I'm really not looking at that Alpha Strike card thinking to myself, yeah, this is something that I'm going to take and run in a game. Now, because I mentioned it already, the next one we're going to look at is the MASH. And the MASH is pretty cool for a couple reasons. First of all, it completely redoes what we thought of as the 3026 or 3025 TRO MASH unit. This looks completely different, and it's done in a very tasteful and very good way. So all of the details on this are really crisp. There's no obvious mold lines. Um, yeah, nothing sticks out as far as like mold lines or anything like that. A weird quirk on the cast into the bottom is a 6-3, which I'm assuming is a number to match it up to the hex base. And of course, because there are pegs that go into the wheels, of course, it's done in a manner that does not look like it's 3D sculpted, which I think is funny. The MASH unit does not have any moving turrets, even though it does have a turret. It does not move. But it does come with a little bump out, which is really cool because it kind of gives you that extended medical bay look. And personally, I would have liked to have had more of these little bump outs to come with it. Or Catalyst, if you're listening and you really want to make a girl happy, then like some of these little bump outs is just like an add-on feature would be really nice. That way you could have a fully deployed MASH unit on an objective spot, and that, or if you're using it for a diorama, you'd be able to have the thing fully deployed. It would look really cool, and I think that would be awesome. Now, they did do some tiny satellite dishes on it, which came out okay. They're not perfect. Okay, so the turret is a separate part. It just does not turn. Okay, yeah, looking at it, the only thing I find as far as mold lines or anything, there's a clip point on the back of the cab. Other than that, it looks awesome. I do feel like this is something that if, maybe some of the folks out in the 3D printing community, if you want to make little add-ons for this, I'm sure some people would appreciate having the bump outs That way they could have this look like it's fully deployed in like a diorama or something like that. Now, of course, looking at the Alpha Strike card, this is an interesting vehicle. Mind you, it has no real purpose other than to be a mash. It has combat vehicle, size 1, TMM2, movement of 10 wheeled, no roll, short of 1, medium and long of 0, armor of 2, structure of 1, specials of E&E, MASH 5, searchlight and turret 100, and it has a point value of 6. There's an anti-missile system version, which is virtually identical. It is 8 points. All the base material, the type, roll, TMM, all that's the same. The damage values are the same. The armors are the same. The only difference is in the special abilities. You have anti-missile system, case, fuel cell engine, MASH 5, searchlight, and turret AMS. Now, out of curiosity, I decided to look up the MASH special ability because it's not something you run across very often. The way it works in gameplay is that you actually can carry up to half of the MASH number in infantry units as a troop transport. So if you were really crazy and really wanted to push this into action, you could totally load up. It's divided by 2, rounded up, so it'd be 3 unit, something with 3 total. So there's not a lot of things that could go in there, but that could be a very interesting little thing. Of course, mind you, at that point you have made the MASH truck a non or a combatant, and it is fair game, and it has like no armor, one structure. It's gonna fold like a piece of paper. So yeah, probably not the best idea, but an interesting one. Now, the last unit we have is actually 2, and this is the Long Tom and its support carriage. Now, starting with the Long Tom cannon itself, it's self-propelled artillery. It it is done in a pretty interesting and decent way. I like how they've gone and I guess to put it in a way, it feels, and mind you, yes, I have this weird interest in World War II. It's a thing, but I guess it's not that weird, you know. But anyway, this reminds me of some of the railway guns because of the overall shape. And if you're not familiar with those, they were what they sound like. They were artillery cannons mounted on rail cars that you could drive around on the train tracks and shoot at things with. And this very much reminds me of that. I would almost like to see, and I think they mentioned in the original TRO uh, entry on the Long Tom that there are railcar versions of it. I would really like to see somebody convert this into that. Um, or I could actually try to, but I don't know if I want to. Because I do have that monorail set, and this would work perfectly. So, but looking at it, the gun itself and the 2 supporting arms are a separate piece from the body, and it looks like the track assemblies are part of the main body. So you have the track assemblies as part of the main body, and then you have the main gun itself, which is elevated slightly. And what's interesting here is it does have what looks like the bases for arms to stabilize it on the sides and on the back. Even though the gun is raised as though it's going to fire, those are not deployed, which it's a tiny nitpick, but it's nothing serious. It is held onto the base by 2 pigs. The underside doesn't have as much detail as the last 2 miniatures, but that's sort of to be expected. You don't have a ton of like places to put stuff on the bottom of a combat vehicle. And looking at it overall, there is that split between the weapon, the gun and the body. But other than that, I'm not really seeing anything. I will say that the pegs are rather close to the edge of the plastic, so be careful if you remove it from the base. But I'm not even seeing a clip point on this. So they've done really well. Like so far with the vehicles, they've done pretty good. There are a few little things here and there that I've noticed, but for the most part, they've done really well with these vehicles. So yeah, as far as the Long Tom artillery cannon, it I mean it looks great. And like I said, this is going to be made into an objective piece. It's not going to be used for like actual going and doing stuff on the table with it and all that. It's a set piece. It's there to look pretty and do nothing. So the other part of the long tom we have is the trailer, the artillery support carriage. And this has like a little cockpit on one end of it. And mind you, this thing does not move on its own. It has to be towed by the long tom. And then there are two more carriages in the middle, each with a bunch of ammunition. And the one that would be closest to the long tom itself, which, yeah, because you'd have that little cockpit thing on the end, then your ammunition more towards the long tom. You have a swing arm that rotates. Like it did not need to rotate. There was no reason for it to rotate, but they did it anyway. And it's really awesome. And I can't stop playing with the thing because, in my head it's like, yeah, no, this is what they would load the ammo with. And of course, you can tell it's supposed to be a crane arm, so it doesn't raise obviously for reasons. There's only so much engineering can go into that. But yeah, that is really cool that they have this little tiny swing arm that you can actually swing out. So, you know, and looking at the stat blocks, first we have the Long Tom artillery. We have the LT MOB 25 at 37 points. It's a combat vehicle, size 2, TMM 0, movement of 4, tracked missile boat, available in every era, short of 1, no medium or long, 2 armor, 3 structure. Specials are artillery Long Tom 1, elemental engine, hitch, mech headquarter 2, or mobile headquarter 2, I guess, and searchlight. And then the other side is the LT MOB-25F, which is the same point value. It is slightly faster. It's combat vehicle size 3, TMM1, movement of 6 tracked, is a missile boat. Short 1, medium and long 0, armor of 2, structure of 4, with artillery Long Tom 1, case, elemental engine, hitch, and searchlight. And that's available in every era as well. Of course, you have two different options for the support carriage. You have the LT MOB 25 version. It's 11 points. Combat vehicle size 1, TMM of 0 because it's a towed vehicle. Has no damage value at all. It has armor of 2, structure of 1 with cargo transport 5, elemental engine, energy, hitch, mobile headquarter 4, recon and search. Every era it's available in. And you have the 25F version, which everything's the same except the specials of cargo transport 2, energy, hitch, mobile headquarter 4, recon, and search. And it's 11 points as well. 11 points as well. That Southern comes out every now and then, and available in every era. So that's pretty much it for all the vehicle reviews themselves. Now, as far as the Force Pack, it is not available in retail yet. And currently, according to our sponsor, Fortress Miniatures and Games, It has a projected release date of January 1st of 2025. I would have to go back through and confirm that with what we have from the things that Rem does, the Tuesday Newsdays, and see what she said. Although I think it was something similar to that, and it wouldn't surprise me if Bobby is using that or something from Catalyst directly to say, hey, this is when the release date is for retail. So as it stands right now, you're looking at January of next year. The Force Pack costs $39.99, and Fortress sells it, or will be selling it, for $29.99. Now, before we go into my final thoughts on this Force Pack, I do want to thank my sponsors, Fortress Miniatures and Games. Bobby's a great guy. They are awesome there, and they have just about everything you need for BattleTech. Also, the Scrapyard Ork, there will be a link in the description below, and we are an affiliate with them. So they do dice. They are really awesome dice. They do BattleTech, they do Warhammer 40K, they do a whole variety of things. And if you use our affiliate link to go to their store and purchase anything, it does help the podcast and the channel. And of course, also, I would be remiss if I did not point out that you can support us directly by going to patreon.com/unicorn company. There is a link in the description below for that as well. We have tiers anywhere from $1 all the way up to like 20, I believe. And I try to put out content early there. I do custom Alpha Strike cards for for the products we've reviewed, for the mechs. So far, it's just been the individual mechs, but I plan on getting that up to whole lance packs. And also, of course, we do give away some of the products that we review, unopened versions, of course, and I randomly just give those away to patrons. So, like right now, I want to say I have one each of the legendary packs and a couple other ones that I'm just going to give away. So, for that, you have to be in the $5 tier and up. But yeah, so that's a chance that you have just to get random stuff from the podcast and from the channel. So, all the shilling aside, let's talk about my final thoughts on this Force Pack. Now, I don't really think, as it sits, that this Force Pack is worth $40. I don't know if it's even worth $30. And here's the thing. Mind you, these models, they're done great. I love these models. But the problem that I have is that they really don't have a lot of function or utility in the game. They look pretty and they do nothing. Now, mind you, the long tom could be used for artillery support, but even that, it's not going to come up that often. You just don't see long toms used very often in Alpha Strike or anything like that. And I don't have a problem with them. I think they're neat. I just don't think they're worth $40. Now, had they included possibly a J-27 with some or not artillery, some ammunition trailers behind it, I think that would have helped. In fact, I'd have to look at the art for the J-27 again, but the artillery trailer feels a lot like the J-27 to me. But we all know that Long Tom always came with a trailer with ammunition and support staff, so that's what that is right there. Also, they could have thrown in some kind of other objectives, or like even some flatbed trucks, basic small stuff that, and I'm not talking a lot of it. I mean, all of the vehicle boxes so far give you 2 of each vehicle. In there, you have 4 vehicles doubled up, so you're getting 8 miniatures. Now, at $40 a pop, 8 miniatures is what, $5 a model? Which is not bad. I mean, especially considering how much it costs to buy metal vehicles individually. And mind you, I'm a big booster for Ironwind. I love them, but at the same time, this price wise beats out Ironwind any day of the week. And then you get to the objectives, and you have 4 vehicles. You don't get double up on anything. You don't get 8 different things. You just get 4, well, technically 3 vehicles, because the artillery trailer just pulls behind the long tom. So yeah, and I know there's supposed to be objectives, but I think on this would have been a good product that you could put at a lower price point, or you could add more utility to it, or more diversity to it, I guess would be the right word here, because you're not adding utility, but if you add like a couple flatbed trucks and a couple um, J27s, and we know they have the mold for it because they have it in the new Star League Force pack, the coolant truck, that would have been awesome. That would have been perfect. So that's my final thoughts. I think this should be a $20 box. And I mean, the best deal that I know you're going to get on it once it comes out is going to be through Fortress, and they're selling it for $29.99. And yeah, so that is everything for this episode, this review. I really do hope you enjoyed it. I want to thank my patrons. All of you helped make this possible. And I hope that all of you have a good day, good evening, good whatever it is where you are. This is Carrie signing off.
I'm gonna find my meaning, I can make a change. I wanna play the game. You wanna